and welcome to John Walmart's second journey through the Dark Land of Souls. For anyone watching this video who hasn't seen the first, the rules are simple. I'll complete the game using only items that I've bought in shops. The only exceptions to this are key items because, obviously, Estus because I would like to not lose my mind, and thirdly, items that update shop inventories, things like ashes and scrolls. They might not fit the letter of the challenge, but I think they fit the spirit, so there you go. Now let's get into the video. First challenge of the run, another bare-handed fight against the starting boss. The first phase is no problem. All the attacks are well telegraphed and slow enough to get in a few hits between sword swings. I did get sucker punched a couple of times though. Second phase, however, was a bit of an issue. Not because it's particularly difficult under normal circumstances, but when you have to get right up his butthole to do damage, that stupid gooey snake takes up like 80% of the screen. I found that baiting out the jumping attacks and getting a couple hits in before backing off again was the most consistent method to not die before he did. A few things to do in Firelink. First, I dump all my souls into Vigor and Endurance, which was pretty stupid because I still need to buy gear. Well, I'm not completely broke. This time, instead of discarding all my starting gear, I kept it in my inventory for such a case of stupidity, because the lovely Shrine Maiden here lets you sell things from the very start of the game. Selling all my stuff and killing a handful of enemies around Firelink gives me enough souls to buy the wizard starting gear, minus the armor. Yay! I shouldn't complain though. I've got a melee and a ranged option right out of the gate. The only thing that differentiates the challenge in this game from Dark Souls 1 is that there isn't a rock cellar. The only upgrade materials I'll have access to will come pretty decently far into the run when Grey Rat stocks 3 Twinkling Titanite. Enjoy these big yellow chunky hits while they last, cause they won't last long. Speaking of Grey Rat, let's go get him out of his hole. Throwable consumables unfortunately don't do a whole lot of damage in this game, and you can only hold 20 of them at a time. Weapon resins, on the other hand, may find a place in my kit. Particularly status-inflicting ones, with how often the dagger can land hits. But they're pretty pricey for this early in the game, so for now we'll just move on. Vort is the first real challenge. Well, maybe not really under normal circumstances. Hell, even for this challenge run, I was doing fairly decent damage, but I was also coming down with what ended up being quite possibly the worst cold of my life, so I died to Vort. A lot. I realized that I forgot to get the Ashen Flask, so I backtracked to pick that up so I can show off the main reason why I'm not just using the buyable Heal Miracle. Then back to getting my ass kicked, but slightly less quickly with my new armor courtesy of my little mousy boy. Eventually, I break out of my fever-induced brain fog for just long enough to kill the big frosty dog and move on to the undead settlement. I snagged Loretta's bones and the Estus shard, and now it's time to make some friends. Big friends. Weird friends. Blind friends that I actually freed a bit later but fit nicely here. I tried to fight the tree, and damage isn't really the issue here. Don't get me wrong, my damage is shit, but it would be manageable if I could actually hit the sacks. With the 3-inch range of my dagger and only being able to lock onto the center of mass of the tree, I couldn't find a way to consistently hit the sacks other than the main one. But this is an optional boss, so we can come back to this when we have more damage options. With my big friend no longer trying to shoot me, I can run back and pick up the undead bone shard and the mortician's ashes. I run all the way through the road of sacrifices to pick up one more friend, the best friend, the magic friend. He's a surprise tool that'll help us later. I tried to take out the crystal mage with a bunch of sorceries. Yeah, I was still pretty deep into my illness at this point, and the damage from the dagger is already falling off. Firebombs actually do the best damage, but I can't carry nearly enough to take her out. I tried using fire resin and was actually doing manageable damage, but again, very sick, very stupid, very expensive. I got annoyed, so I went into the poison swamp instead. The perfect solution. I doused all the flames, and tried out the Abyss Watchers, and oh shit, starter spell's kinda good? But with this new area unlocked, I've actually got a fair few upgrades to my kit to get ironed out first. In the Farron Swamps, I made a suicide run to pick up the Sage Scroll. I take it back to my mage friend, and that's it. That's the game. We don't need to buy anything else for basically the entire run. I'm kidding, of course, I'll be switching things up here and there for the rest of the run, but yeah, Pestilent Mist is pretty busted. I just need the stats to use it. Well, I know where I can get a few free levels, and the rest can be ground out in Farron Keep without too much hassle. So let's actually kill some bosses. First up is the tree. Once it gets out of the corner, I can just pop out Pestilent Mist a handful of times, and he goes down without even triggering the phase transition. The ads were actually more of a nuisance than the boss itself, a reoccurring theme of this run, as we'll see later. I gave the little pygmy the kiln and buy myself a fancy new ring. Also, now that I've killed a boss, Grey Rat is back with some new inventory. The lightning urns are interesting and the embers are potentially useful, but I'll leave this for later. I do buy myself the assassin armor chest piece, even though it's objectively worse than the one I've got, because fashion. Now for the Crystal Sage. I had hoped that the mist would prevent the phase transition. Turns out, no, it doesn't, but it does allow me to focus on avoiding damage for most of the fight. Finding a casting opportunity for Pestilent Mist can be a bit tricky though, since it takes so damn long to wave my stick in the air to summon the deadly fart cloud. First try. Super clean, just ignore the health bar. I head back to Firelink and buy Crystal Hail, which is pretty useless, actually, and I would have been better off just eating the soul, but what's done is done. Making my way towards the Cathedral of the Deep, I find this weird old man. I don't remember this guy, but it has been a long time since I last played the game. He wants me to sniff his bloody rag and oh no, oh god, wait, I didn't get the checkpoint, Fuck. Well, at least it isn't like the first Painted World, and I can immediately go back and make the run to the Cathedral Bonfire again. The Deacons of the Deep are laughably easy with the Pestilent Mist. Even more so than usual. My first and probably only first try boss of the run. The only thing that was slightly scary was the curse buildup in Phase 2, but Pestilent kills the Horde before the Horde kills me. My strat for the Abyss Watchers mostly consisted of running away like a little bitch. I'd wait for the Red-Eyed Watcher to pop up and take some aggro so I could actually damage the main Watcher, and that worked fine until I triggered Phase 2. I couldn't find a single safe attack opportunity for Great Soul Arrow in Phase 2, except when I ran out of his attack range. He just has too fast of a recovery time in all of his attacks to try to stay close. So, running away it is. Squishy Mage is very squishy. And that's the first Lord of Cinder down, 3 more to go. With the Watchers dead, Yol also dies, and Urias shows up as a vendor in Firelink. The only interesting things she sells for my purposes are poison darts and purging stones. And this marked the end of a recording session, and unfortunately, I only remembered the darts were a thing after I had already killed all the required bosses that weren't immune to poison. So at this point, the unupgraded dagger is beyond useless, so it's time for an upgrade. Greyrat sells the Pontiff Knight Curve Sword, which is one of the only weapons that you can buy that's upgraded with Twinkling Titanite. It's got fairly low stat requirements too, so I picked that up and will work on getting the levels to actually use it as I work on some other stuff. I felt like I was missing something at this point. Something annoying. Ah, yeah, Patches. He's a merchant, so I need him on my side. So I let him fuck me over. And now we can do business. With that out of the way, it's Giant Skeletime. Farron Flashblade is actually pretty damn good. It's got decent damage with fantastic cast speed and FP efficiency. Fight takes me a couple of times because I kept getting ganked by the ads. Before I realized that if I take out the left bracelet first, he doesn't summon the ads and the fight is exponentially easier. I can just run up to his wrists and bonk the hell out of him with the magic sword, and just keep an eye out for the Death Breath attack. Before we go deeper into the mid-game, I did some backtracking, picking up the Golden Scroll in Farron Keep for the Hidden Body spell, and sent Greyrat off to pillage Irithyll. Wait, why is Patches still here? Whoa, that's fine. I can probably still send him off to go get Greyrat, right? Oh fuck. Okay, well I can get Sigurd's armor, and send him to rescue Greyrat, right? Right? Well, no Ashes here, so it's probably fine. My boy is probably safe. You hear me, you sleepy fuck? You better get off your ass and rescue my boy. Hidden Body makes getting through Irithyll a hell of a lot simpler, which is good because I'll need all the help I can get to kill the Pontiff. In fact, why don't I go get a bit stronger before I deal with that zippy asshole? Yorm is an absolute joke with Pestilent Mist. Seriously, Aside from the deacons, this was the easiest fight in the game, by a lot. Just cast Mist, don't get stepped on, rinse and repeat until victory. One more head on the thrones, and we're halfway done. And hey, I've got the stats to use but the Pontiff sword. Maybe I can use the sword against the Pontiff? Since I've killed another boss, I make a quick stop to double check that Grey Rat isn't dead and... oh no. Oh, what have I done? Well, at least I can get the Twinkling Titanite. And since it's available, might as well upgrade my sword to +2, which is as high as it's going. Now, the damage honestly isn't awful, but the damage I'm dealing isn't the problem. The damage I'm taking is. Sometimes this edgy anime fuck just decides it's time for you to die and chains like 20 attacks together, so without either completely re-speccing or getting a hell of a lot better at this game, the fight just isn't happening in Melee. Well, my current go-to range spell, the Great Soul Arrow, only does like 100 damage per hit, so let's work on getting more options. I start off by taking out the Stray Demon, who's not technically a boss, but does drop a boss soul, and I just wanted to kill something with this damn sword. Then I head down to the Smoldering Lake for an epic showdown between me and the worm. The old Demon King is a big, slow-moving boss, so guess what I'm using against him? That's right, the Broken spell. My best opportunity to cast Mist without getting smooshed is during his Fire Breath attack, so the fight takes a while as I wait for him to do that, but he does go down with relatively little issue. Alright, so in Eurothill Dungeon, there's this dude with a giant candle who's holding an extremely valuable coupon. I want that coupon, so he must die. Coupon in hand, and it's time for a reunion with some old friends. Unfortunately, the homing soul mass seems to have undergone some serious nerfs since Dark Souls 1 and really isn't very useful. But Soul Spear still does big damage and passes through enemies. The fight went much better until, well, shit. Gotta track down some more blue. I also realized that I am a massive dumbass, and you absolutely can buy Titanite, you just need to give the right ashes to the maiden, so I go do that, and upgrade my staff to +3. With some extra flasks and an upgraded stick, I finally beat Pontiff Sullivan. God, this fight gave me so much trouble. With precise spacing, I can hit him with the Soul Spear even when he tries to dodge. And the Soul Spear can hit both the Pontiff and his Shadow Clone, letting me quickly dispatch the clone and force him to resummon it, which gives me my best attack opportunity. And since we're roughly halfway through the game, this is where I'm going to end the video for today. Because between getting sick and having to travel for holidays, the recording has taken much longer than anticipated, and I would kind of like to get a video out before Christmas. So thank you all for watching, and I will see you next time, when we go through the late game and the DLCs.